Hey, 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 welcome everyone to another episode of Five Lug Racing. My name is Don. With you, as always, my co host Ryan. Thank you for being with me, bud. Man, we are breaking down everything Rockingham from this past weekend, except Cup. They didn't race this past weekend, they got it off for Easter. I hope everyone had a safe and wonderful Easter break. I know I did. I ate way too much. We're also jumping into Talladega. We got ourselves a 2.66 mile track in the horizon. Ryan, let's talk about it, bud. What you got for me?
Oh man. The Rockingham experience was just so fun to watch. And I hope everybody tuned in at home and was able to enjoy the racing that took place at Rockingham. The trucks definitely put on a good show. And then the Xfinity series even put on a better one.
Yep.
It was just a really, really fun racing weekend. It was just so great to see Rockingham again. Um, you know, I had nothing bad to say about the racing that took place as far as the weekend went. Uh, you know, we got to talk about the Xfinity race because there was a lot to talk about, right? What seemingly was, you know, the return of Casey Kane, right? Everybody had their eyes on him. He had an incredible car. The car just had so much pace in the weekend, and he was gaining and making strides, and really had top five pace right from the jump. Get into lap traffic, and what happens right in front of him but an accident? And we need to talk about this accident, Don, because this was a hot topic all over social media. Um, Two different arguments took place. So let's talk about what was said. The argument we're talking about is Katherine Legge, who was a lapper car, gets run up from behind by William Sawalich. There's contact. Katherine Legge spins out and collects Casey Kane, who was going through lap traffic and was catching William Sawalich, by the way, for position on track.
Right.
Um, so, again, Sawalich in was it fourth or fifth place at the time,
Yep.
and then Casey Kane right behind hunting down, and then again Catherine Legge a lapper car. So 2 weeks in a row, I do my best to watch every single race live, and if I don't, I'll rewatch what I miss. But 2 weeks in a row, I've watched William Sawalich run into the back of a vehicle and once was you know checking needed a situation where he needed to check up at Bristol, totally plows into the back of the 88 car of Zilich, ruins a good car for Zilich because the rear end was junk,
Yep.
on something that he had ample time to get a brake applied and slow down and woe up enough to not hit Connor. Fast forward a week later, and we have a situation on the track where Katherine Legge is out there to gain experience in log laps. And let's talk about that first. Don, I'm going to pass it back to you because I know this is something that, you know, you've seen a lot of things too in the comment section. And again, I'm just going to reiterate and set this one up for you. Katherine Legge is out there to gain experience in log laps.
Right. Absolutely. And Katherine Legge is doing just that. This is not an easy thing that she's doing. Is she a talented race car driver? Yes. Is she experienced in this aspect of racing? Not so much. Okay. Everybody's got to earn their stripes, people, right? Everybody's got to go through the aches and pains of becoming a NASCAR stock car driver. Okay. It doesn't just click happen overnight and you're able to keep up with the top five every week. That's not what this is. Okay. Now, things in the discussion as far as comments. Katherine Legge shouldn't be out there. She didn't earn her spot out there. This, that, and the other, right? Okay, we see all that. I understand that aspect of the opinion. However, Katherine Legge did not do anything illegal by being in this race. Okay. Everybody that wants to do what she did. Now, I don't know the exact amounts of money that they paid to allow her to sit in the race car and drive. That's not important. She didn't break any rules. She was legally out there as a competitor in the NASCAR Xfinity Cup at Rockingham Speedway this past Saturday. Okay, so let's put that one to rest. If everybody could just kind of look at it from an outsider's perspective, Katherine Legge was legal to be on the racetrack, regardless if you agree or not of how she got there. Okay?
Right. She exploited a rule in the NASCAR rule book.
Correct.
And I don't even want to use the word exploit.
It's not exploited.
Because we've seen this with other drivers, right? And unfortunately in this sport, Don, money pays.
Correct. Money talks.
And money did the talking. Okay. She didn't qualify in the car. She went out there to qualify. So anybody who missed this is on the same page as us. So therefore, she comes back, makes an offer, and gets a seat because of it. And then it was JJ Yaley, I believe, that didn't get to race. Now, guys, don't feel bad for JJ because in that deal, he got paid. Okay. It's one of those deals where he's taken care of, the team's taken care of, she gets seat time.
Right.
And her sponsors also get taken care of because they're now running laps around a track. Right. It might not have been that original wrap because I know there's that rule in the rule book that, you just run a stripped down car with
the number,
your primary number and logo. That's it. You can't rewrap a car, but yes, sorry to cut you off, but I just want to make sure it's out there. But the NASCAR rule book allows what happened to take place. So fans, your frustration shouldn't be with Katherine Legge saying she doesn't belong out there. Now, some fans I feel like are saying it for two different reasons.
Correct.
We'll get into that. But for the one reason of she didn't qualify, okay, I can understand that. But your issue there is with the NASCAR rule that other drivers have been able to manipulate or take advantage of, whatever may be the case. So your issue is not with Katherine Legge for saying she didn't qualify. Your issue should be with NASCAR.
Correct.
And I can understand that. And that maybe is something that needs to be discussed. Maybe that shouldn't be allowed. If you don't qualify your car, tough cookies.
Right.
Sorry.
You cannot buy someone else's seat. But that's not the rule.
But that's not the rule. Exactly. Right. And maybe that's something that should be explored, but that's not for you and I.
Right.
We're here to present the facts.
Correct.
Before opinions. Okay. And there could be new fans watching this at home, and I hope there are, because I'm honored for you guys tuning into our show and getting insight and we appreciate that, and we appreciate everybody that tunes into the show. But growing the sport is what we want, but we want to do it by presenting the facts, and we will always be fact-based first. We have opinions too, and we're going to give them, but we're here for facts. So the first fact is she got in off of a NASCAR rule that allowed her to buy that seat. Case closed. Your next point, Don, go.
It really is as black and white as that. When the mass population is able to step back and look at it from a different perspective, it really is that black and white. She didn't break any rules. She was legally on the track. The end. That's all the conversation is. You got a problem with the rule book, then have a problem with the rule book. I understand your perspective on that as well, and I respect it. Absolutely. But to attack a driver, regardless of experience or I'll say it gender, regardless of that doesn't matter. She had the right to be out there with the other 35 drivers. Okay. So middle of the race, we're coming up on lap traffic. Katherine Legge is out there. She's logging laps. She's minding her business. And she's got two cars, the 18 and the 33, coming up hot. I mean, they are flying. And they're flying because Kasey Kahne is chasing down William Sawalich for position. We're talking about a top five. We're talking about Kasey Kahne, who got out of that race car after wrecking it, or being wrecked, excuse me, and saying, man, we had a top five car. And then he kind of under his breath goes, we probably had a car to win the thing. So that car was very winnable. And I'm not taking anything away from the 18 William Sawalich and that team either, because he had a very fast car. So both of those cars had the ability to go out there and win that race.
Yeah, they're battling for track position in the top five. I mean,
correct.
Yeah.
So here we go. We're coming up on a slower lap car. Can happen to anybody at any point in the track, at any point in the race. It is by not even definition, but by opinion, that the etiquette is lap cars politely move out of the way for cars racing for position. Okay. What people seem to forget is they do not have to do that. They are there at that point of the asphalt first. And so she has the right to be where she wants to be to get that car around the turn. Now, I'll even go as far as saying maybe Casey and William just came up so fast on her, she didn't have a chance to react, to get low and get out of the way, or get high and get out of the way, so that these two smoking fast cars, because they were hot when they came up on her. Okay. William Sawalich then has the responsibility as a faster car and the ability.
Two choices he has.
He has two choices: either follow her around the turn and use her to slingshot out of the turn and get momentum and come out of the turn. That's one option. Or make the adjustment earlier when you're getting to that point. Okay, I got a lap car that's dead middle in the track. I need to commit to a lane. What we saw was the 18 enter this car at his line, which also happened to be the line that Katherine was running ahead of him, and flat out smokes her, just wrecks her. Right. So I'm sending you a text. I'm like, I don't like that. I don't like what just happened there. I think William had multiple choices to go with, and he went with the only wrong one. And so then you fast forward to the comment section on social media, right? We follow all the comments, guys, and the amount of disrespect displayed to Katherine when she didn't, in my opinion, didn't do anything wrong. It's gotten really crazy, y'all. And I'm bringing this to light because I hope that somebody somewhere will just kind of take a step back and be like, yeah, maybe she wasn't in the wrong here. Maybe I did give a knee-jerk response on social media, which I feel like happens a lot in sports in general. We won't even discuss anything else other than sports, but it happens across social media platforms, no matter what page you're on. But the knee-jerk responses, I think, we as a fan base can be much better about cleaning up, taking a moment to assess the exact situation that happened rather than just seeing what you want to see and then going and shooting off on the keyboard, because it's just not healthy. It's not productive for anyone. It sends a very hateful message when people, maybe new fans, are coming in to the NASCAR pages and they're seeing some of these hate comments towards a driver. And they're like, man, this is not my style of sport, So long story short, I wanted to get this rant out because it's important for us to show leniency towards drivers that are trying to get experience. Okay. Because everybody had to go through it. Everybody had to earn their stripes. Nobody is exempt from going out there and learning, getting lapped 100 times. It's just a product of the racing. What William Sawalich can do to be a better driver for the future in case this situation comes again is make that decision quicker. Your spotter's in your ear. I know his spotter was telling him you got lap traffic ahead. You can make a better decision other than just plowing right into her. I don't know what happened with William. Yeah. I didn't even hear his response on it, to be honest. I couldn't find anything on it. But it was a bad look for William 2 weeks in a row, like you mentioned, with the week before at Bristol and now here at Rockingham, and then ultimately eliminating two really good cars that had a chance to win.
Yeah, and, to piggyback off of what you said, I'm just going to say this. Katherine gave William and Casey, respectfully, because they're both coming in hot,
right,
a lane and a half below her.
Right.
That is more than ample space, especially when you had prep into that corner to prepare where you're going to hit that. And your spotter's job is to communicate that to you as well.
Right.
I was not on the radio listening to the 18 and the spotter, and there's a big reason why. I was not in Rockingham. So NASCAR, for some reason, just did not have that SMT. They didn't have the SMT. They didn't have the scanner hooked up this weekend. They need to make that right for next year. They can't go into that race, and fans are paying for that. NASCAR, that's on you. I'm sorry. But anyway, they take away what people subscribe to, and that's no good.
Yeah.
But regardless, a lane and a half, and he just plowed right into her,
Yep.
and everybody jumped right onto Catherine, and I get it. You didn't think she belonged in the race because she didn't qualify her car there. Then there's other reasons on top of it. People just say she's going to crash, whatever, and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Whatever may be the case, but this was not necessarily her fault, and you have to look at it from the other side of the lens, because nobody right away went after William. But I can tell you that Don and I were texting right away and go, what was he thinking?
Right.
Because there's just two different ways that he easily, right off the jump, could have went about that. Now, one could have cost him track position to get off the throttle a little bit, first of all. And sure, it could have possibly cost you track position, but oh well, you chose to run up on her back end, and you had a whole a lane and a half below you. And if your car's not handling enough to take that lower lane, then you have to slow down, because you don't. I don't care who the driver is. Nobody has the right to run over another driver in that situation. And I don't care who it is in front of you. I don't care who's coming up quick. Nobody has that right to do that. And the car in front of you has that real estate, and you have to respect it to a degree.
Right.
Now, I have spoke to two people within the sport. One works in Xfinity every single weekend, and they gave their opinion on it, and I'm not going to quote them with their name on air, but they said they're tired of seeing stuff like this in their series, and it needs to stop. And it wasn't talking about Katherine Legge being in the wrong. It was talking about William Sawalich, and he needs to find his brake pedal, or he needs to check up, or he needs to choose the right lane. And it's as simple as that. And I mean no disrespect to William Sawalich, because I think he's a very talented driver. Absolutely. And I think he's going to find victory lane, if not this year, sometime soon. Absolutely. In the Xfinity Series. Very talented young man. He's got great team, great equipment. You would think he'd get some better coaching after the last 2 weeks. I'm hoping to see some changes from him, because, again, I take nothing away from him. He is very talented. I think he could learn from it. Hopefully he puts these last 2 weeks behind him, because he junked up his car too, and that's just it, so he's going to take his lumps as well. But when you're costing other people on the track, and believe me, I don't think I made it any bit of a hidden fact. I was pulling for Casey Kane this weekend, and Casey still salvages a P14 out of it. Unreal.
Incredible.
But what a fight from him and that team. But just we have to call it what it is, right? And for her to receive death threats and threats, NASCAR fans, do better. Do better. That's not okay. Absolutely. It's not okay. So I'm just going to end it at that. We got to move on to something else.
Well said.
We're going to go with Jesse Love real quick. Okay. Jesse Love had a dominant car. He, teammate to Casey Kane, where the 2 and the 33 were really good. The 21 seemed to struggle a little bit this weekend. Just not his track. Jesse drove a great race, wins the race. So it was congratulations, Jesse Love, until it wasn't, because he failed post-race inspection for the rear end suspension. There was gaps where spacers were supposed to be in the rear suspension. They did appeal. They lost that appeal today. So second place, Sammy Smith gets the win. Now Sammy crosses the finish line in second and wins the Dash for Cash. So he was already $100,000 winner. He's cashing a check. But now, by virtue of getting that win, he locks into the playoffs. And so good weekend for Sammy Smith, and we're moving on,
And what a way to bounce back for Sammy after a very, very rough go at Bristol. We know everything that happened with there. We don't have to break that down again. But what a way to bounce back, even if it was a P2 that turned into a P1 and a trophy. Congratulations to Sammy Smith, that 18, and all of his fans, because that's big time.
Yeah, it is. It is big time. And now, speaking of big time, we go to the biggest track on the NASCAR circuit, Talladega Superspeedway.
Let's go.
Talladega Superspeedway. The Truck Series has off this weekend. It will be the Xfinity Series and the NASCAR Cup Series going to battle on the biggest, the widest track we race on. It's Dega. Dega is just action-packed, tight pack racing, and historically has given some amazing finishes. We've seen ones where Dale Earnhardt Sr. His last win at Dega, coming from 17th to first in the last 5 laps of a race. Just an incredible. Where'd he come from? How'd he do that? And we've seen his son have some great wins at this track, Dale Jr. And we've seen some of the closest finishes in this series at this track, and just anything and everything you could think of from for this track fits the ones who benefit from being really good at pack racing. This track benefits everybody because it is a dart throw on who's going to win this race. It's so even. This track has been good for first-time winners. And as we've seen as its counterpart Daytona has as well,
Yep.
because of the more level playing field.
Absolutely.
And it's an absolute crapshoot. And when I say that, what I mean is with the style of racing that takes place here at the high speeds, the tight packed racing, one error can ruin 20 cars day. Not the 20 car, but I hope not. But 20 cars in the pack could be impacted by one car's bad decision. So, or misfortune, because mechanical issues have taken cars out in these races too. We've seen it. So it's one of those wild card weekends, and we strap in, we tighten our own belts at home, and we wait to see how it's going to play out. Right now, lately, because of the nature of the beast, and fuel can potentially play into this. We see these cars on a little bit of a fuel save, and they back down the pace. They still run in those packs because if you lose the draft, it could ruin your day. But they back down the pace enough to where it kind of almost looks like they're at an 180 mile per hour ride along for a stage or two.
Right.
But then it gets chippy, it gets dicey, and track position is everything, because it is a lot harder to go from 17th to first in just 5 laps.
Yep.
You got to get the right lane choice. You got to get the right group of cars around you, who can pull cars around the track, who can push the cars around the track, because that all matters in the draft. And when you break it down and you look at the drivers who are really good at it, the cream rises to the top typically on these tracks until they can't, because there's a big one, right? The big one, that big wreck. And so we look at the driver averages for this weekend, and I'm going to look at the driver odds as well. It is no surprise to me when we look at the driver averages and the driver odds that the odds-on favorite from Las Vegas this weekend is Ryan Blaney. Ryan Blaney is really good at Talladega. And it's funny because he hasn't been had the finishes to back it up, the success at Daytona. Whereas at Dega, he has had the success and finishes to back it up. He does have a win here in the last 6 race sample size. He has one win, 3 top 5s, 3 top 10s, and has led 10% of these laps that have been led here. He is in a 3-way tie for the odds-on favorite at Vegas odds at plus 1,100. So a $10 bet on Ryan Blaney will win you $120. Ryan Blaney also, is tied with Kyle Busch and Joey Logano this weekend with Las Vegas odds favorite. Now, that may not play out in the top driver averages. So I want to go through those averages first, and then we'll hit back those odds. So driver averages. William Byron in the last 6 races has an average finish of 7.7 without winning a race here.
Wow.
What does that mean and tell you, Don? And guys at home or gals at home that are watching, it tells me that that William Byron has had a little bit of a better luck at missing the big one.
Right.
That's what it tells me. 2 top fives, 4 top tens, 4.6% of the laps led in the last 6 races at Talladega. So since February 2022. His teammate Chase Elliott is right behind him at 11.8 in 6 races, has a win here, 1 top 5, 3 top 10s, has led 3.7% of the laps led here. We just talked about Ryan Blaney. He's in 3rd place on that driver average. Right behind him is Eric Jones, Legacy Motorsports car at 14. Average finish of 14th in 6 races, no wins, 1 top 5, 4 top 10s. Has led laps here too at almost right under 5% of the laps led in those 6 races. Alex Bowman, Todd Gilliland, Riley Herbst, Brad Keselowski, all within that 14th place average finish. Denny Hamlin is at 15th, and right behind him is Justin Haley at 15.5. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., 15.7, who also has a win here. 15.8 is Kyle Busch, also has a win here. And then Kyle Larson at 15.8, which is actually surprising because Kyle Larson always seems to be caught up in a wreck on these pack style races.
Absolutely.
It's just Kyle Larson has no luck on these types of tracks, and
finally turned the corner at Atlanta at the beginning of the year. We saw that 3-wide caution finish with Bell, Hocevar, and Larson. Larson finally got over the hump, got himself a top 5. Good for him. I love it. Love to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we look at the top team averages. I want to talk about that as well, because this is top team averages at Talladega, not Super Speedway, it's just Talladega. Hendrick Motorsports leads this at 12.6 average finish. And that's since February 2022. Okay, now they're going to pull in 24 races. And you know why? Because they have 4 cars.
Yep.
So that all counts. That helps their average finish. I want to point out a team that doesn't have 4 cars because we're about to give some massive props to Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Hayek Motorsports is second with 15.7. They're a 1-car team. Wow. So in a 6-race sample size, they have a win, 2 top 5s, 2 top 10s. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., that's kudos to you. Okay. Yeah, 1-car team. I mean, they're putting their eggs in one basket here, and whereas others have a lot more to pull from. Legacy Motor Club is a smaller team as well. In a 4-race sample size, they have a 17th place average finish. Joe Gibbs Racing, another 4-car team, 17.3. RFK, they're a 2-car team, now 3-car team, 17.9. Spire Motorsports, 18.2. And Trackhouse Racing, who also has a win here, at 19. So last year's winner for the spring race isn't even on here, or his team isn't even mentioned. And both of those drivers are pretty good plate drivers or pack racers. I'm sorry I call it plate all the time. They used to run restrictor plates. Now they don't. But the pack style racing has favored Bubba Wallace, who got his first career win here at Talladega. Yes, it was rain shortened, but he made some killer moves to put himself into the lead. Rain happened to fall. That's not Bubba Wallace's fault. He doesn't control the weather. People hated on him for that for a while, saying he was gifted a win, but he went out and earned one at Kansas. So, I just want to hush that hater. Anybody who wants to rebuttal there. Anyway,
do better.
Yeah. And by the way, Bubba won on a plate race this year already, not a points paying one, but he won a duel at Daytona. So, the guy knows how to get it done on these types of tracks. Tyler Reddick, he won a duel last year in Daytona, won his first race of the season at Talladega. You could say he was gifted that win by being in the right place at the right time. With how the cautions were, and he was able to drive around a big wreck in front and goes on to win the race. But regardless, he won here, and it started what was 3 races for him to win last year. So again, this type of track is the ultimate wild card. And I put those averages out there so it really can put some insight into your mindset at home on, wow, didn't realize that, or wow, maybe it doesn't matter here, because if you think about where your favorite driver has run in this race versus where they finished in this race, that's because of those big ones, and you got to miss it. Now we go back to Vegas, right? We talked about William Byron having the best average finish here. Well, he has the second best odds to win this race. There was a three-way tie for first. William Byron is in a two-way tie for second best. Him and Brad Keselowski. Now, Brad K historically has run really, really well here. I remember when he ran the '09 Mika Saki sponsored car and won a race here at Talladega. So he knows how to get around this place. He's won quite a few races here. Kyle Larson at plus 1,400 is tied with Denny Hamlin at those same best odds. So third best average. We just spoke of Tyler Reddick, right? Last spring's winner, plus 1,600. Man, he is in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-way tie for the fourth best odds. Vegas also knows this is a crapshoot. Wow, what a shocker when they're tying this many drivers with the same best odds. And in that group was Christopher Bell, Chase Elliott, Chase Briscoe, Austin Cindric. Cindric is another one. He's a good plate driver. He knows where to put his car in the draft, and it shows. He's Daytona 500 winner. Yeah, he knows how to get it done around these pack style races. Alex Bowman sitting at plus 2,000. Nobody tied with him. Michael McDowell, Bubba Wallace, plus 2,200. Todd Gilliland, plus 2,500. Ross Chastain, plus 2,800. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. just praised him at plus 2,800. Just because he's a small team doesn't mean he can't do it, right? And then the list goes on and on and on. So again, think of where your drivers typically run in these races versus where they finish in these races. Really, you're making a dart throw. You're making an educated guess on who you've seen historically go through these pack races and where they've run and where their teams may have run. So with that, Don, we bring in the Pick'em special for the week. And I'll go ahead and give you my dark horse and my favorite. Real quickly before I do that, I was kind of leaning a different way and looking at a different bunch, but there was just a recent shakeup this morning where Rodney Childers, crew chief for Justin Haley, was and we could say mutually parted ways with Spire Motorsports.
Right.
Just 6 races into the season. I don't know. And nobody's really going to come out and say anything, but right now I will say this, and we said it on our social media feed earlier this morning when the news broke. Rodney Childers is too talented to be sitting at home.
Right.
And I know there's going to be many teams a calling. So Rodney, we look forward to seeing you back at the track, whether you're, going to take another week off, or who knows, maybe he pops up in somebody's garage area this weekend, and we'll see what happens. But definitely too talented to be at home. So it won't be long before he's on another pit box or a competition director someplace, or whatever may be the case for the rest of 2025. So that might have told you I was looking onto some Spire drivers, but I have shifted my aim because I had 2 others that I was already thinking of. So here they are. My dark horse for this weekend is a guy who we thought had won a dual race this past year until he didn't because of how a caution flag. He's also a really good plate or pack style race driver, and that is the 43 piloted by Eric Jones. I really like Eric Jones this weekend. Somebody that was coming into the weekend that I had my eyes on. Legacy is good here. They know how to put together a good plate car, and I feel like Eric Jones knows how to pilot those plate cars or pack cars. And so I look forward to seeing Eric Jones running up front. And who knows, maybe he's punching his ticket to the playoffs with a trip to victory lane. Again, my dark horse pick. My favorite for the weekend is a team who is no stranger to finding victory lane at a pack style race. They've done it historically in the past. And it wasn't until recent years that they found victory lane on other style racing as well, with the former of Michael McDowell in the seat. But now it's not. Now it's the guy who used to pilot the 38 car now moved into Michael McDowell's seat in the 34 with Front Row Motorsports, and that's Todd Gilliland. I I really like Todd Gilliland. I think he's a really, really talented race car driver. And I really think things are going to start to click for him. He kind of took the forefront of that seat, that the limelight, that, and Noah Gregson, he moves over to in the 4 car, and, Noah's a very capable driver as well. But I really like what Todd brings to the table. I think that 34 bunch is going to have a lot of speed this weekend. And if they can avoid the big one, I think that 34 team, who we've seen shock the world in Daytona a couple years ago,
Yep.
can maybe do it here this weekend in Talladega. I don't think it would be as shocking. I really don't. I think Todd is a good plate or pack racer, and I think that this team knows how to put a winning race car on the track when it comes to a pack. David Reagan come to mind, winning with Front Row Motorsports. There's other drivers that have gotten it done. It's been exciting to watch Front Row be one of those teams that was just somebody that would show up on a pack style racetrack and have a shot at winning, to a team that has really developed into a program that is capable of winning any weekend. But I'm going to lean on that history with the pack style, and I really like Todd this weekend to get his first win, his first Cup win. So be fun to see if that happens, and I'm curious to see what your picks are, Don.
Ryan, absolutely love the picks, man. You always have everything broken down so beautifully, why you pick which driver you pick at each specific track. Absolutely
Thank you.
respect both the picks. I do want to elaborate on something before I make my dark horse and my main pick for this weekend's race. And it's something we didn't discuss, but it's something that took place at the spring Talladega race last year. If you remember, if you watched that race, 7 or 8 Toyota cars broke the cycle. All right. They broke the cycle. They got ahead of the fuel mileage game. They threw everybody for a loop, and everybody was chasing their tails. And I mean everybody, the Chevys and Fords, because they were the only ones left after Toyota threw their Joker card into the deck. Now, that being said, Toyota didn't, necessarily execute that plan as well as they could have, as we saw drivers like Denny Hamlin, I believe the 42 car. Forgive me for not remembering who was in the 42 last year, and Bubba Wallace in the 23 car, they get tangled up in the middle of the turn. One bad bump draft sends half of that Toyota field into the wall, ruins their day, the whole thing, right? So they bring out a caution, which actually ends up flipping the field anyway for Tyler Reddick.
Right.
Reddick ends up at the front of the field anyway. They're battling with McDowell, Brad Keselowski at the end of that race. That was because of that wild card that Toyota threw at the entire field. Nobody saw it coming. I remember watching it on TV, and I was like, "Oh, they really did it. They just did that, and it's going to work."
Yeah. One of those 7 cars was going to win that race.
Absolutely.
And they jumped those Toyotas and Fords. It was perfect.
It was perfect.
But you're absolutely right. One of them was going to win that race until they didn't.
Right. So let's not leave out the fact that somebody could do that again. Maybe it's not Toyota. Maybe somebody else tries to do it. Okay. Now that that's said, and everything out of the way, I don't have a Toyota in my picks this weekend. What? I know, right? So let me go ahead and give you my dark horse as a driver that's come on really strong this season. I'm really excited. I'm becoming a fan of this driver. I think he's got a great personality. I think he's got a great edge about him. The way he presents himself on the camera, the way he interacts with fans and kids is absolutely wonderful to see. If you ever get a chance to take your kiddos to meet this young man, please do, because he is wonderful. That is going to be Mr. Carson Hocevar in that Chevrolet Spire Motorsports race car. He has shown a lot of speed. He has shown a lot of aggressiveness that's paying off in his favor. Now, like with most aggressive drivers, he finds himself in trouble sometimes. That's going to happen. Happens to the best of them. Nobody's exempt from that. But, go ahead and give me Carson Hocevar in that Chevrolet Camaro. I definitely expect to see him making some noise by the end of this race. As far as my main pick, I'm going to go ahead and cheat the system. I'm going to go ahead and roll with Vegas odds. I like him. I think he's going to turn the corner. No matter what, he's going to get a win into the playoffs this year. It's not a matter of if, it's when. And that's going to be the number 12 car of Ryan Blaney. Ryan Blaney is incredibly gifted at this style of racing. He's got two great teammates, Joey Logano and Austin Cindric, they absolutely dominate these style of races when it comes time. So we're getting our third aspect of pack racing of the year here at Talladega. Would not surprise me at all to see the Penske Ford Mustang of Ryan Blaney in the 12 car in victory lane this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, you could be called a front runner for that pick, but there's a reason why we would call you that, because Ryan Blaney's so good here, and he's shown it. And like I said, I again, it could be the luck factor on where the car is at Daytona versus Talladega, but the difference of style racing is not different. It's just a little bit of a wider track surface, but whatever it is, maybe it's that extra run out of the tri-oval down to that little, because the start and finish line is different here than it is at Daytona.
Yep.
It's between the tri-oval and turn one. So I don't know, maybe that makes a difference, but Ryan Blaney is awesome here. So I love that pick. And Carson Hocevar also, darn near could have won Atlanta. If he can keep it clean, he'll absolutely have a piece under him. And again, I kind of like the Spire guys, and this weekend until I heard some of the shakeup. But we'll see how it all tears down or breaks down, or what cars are torn up, because that's really what it's going to be. Who survives? Who survives? I mean, you could call it the Talladega Demo Derby, whatever you want to call it, but it's going to be a fun race, and the exciting finishes are always there. And the weather looks like it's going to be nice too for the weekend. I know initially
looks like Sunday is going to be nice. It looks like we got like a small chance,
chance of a pop-up storm on Saturday, but
everybody know just to be prepared.
But it's a big track, so it could rain in one area, not the rest, and still they could dry it. But we'll see how it shakes down with the weather. But I'm confident. We're going to be good. We're going to miss that. Yeah. We're going to race. But I'm really, really excited for Talladega. I am. I mean, it's Talladega, so how can you not? But it is the ultimate wild card race, and then we get back to some more of intermediate racing, and where I feel like you find out where the cars are actually better than not. But regardless, it's Talladega. It's exciting. I know everybody's going to be at home watching it, and we'll be here to break it down for you next week and preview the next one.
Love it. Absolutely love it. I know we've got a few buddies that follow the channels and the pages there on social media. You guys have a wonderful, safe weekend. Take lots of pictures, make lots of memories, all that good stuff that comes with it. We'll be right here next week to break everything down with you guys. We always look forward to that. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow, share, all that good stuff that comes with it. And, like as always, from Ryan, from Don, thank you so much for being here with us, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Y'all take care.